Hey, what's up, you guys? Bloody Jacob here to bring you my thoughts on the 5th season of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. That's right, I just finished season 5. Yes, I know how late I am, but I'm still just really, really loving this. So yeah, I just finished season 5, and again, I know it's very shameful how late I am to this whole bandwagon. I just got 2 seasons left of Buffy now, 3 of Angel. I just finished Angel season 2 as well. I've been watching them in correct viewing order, a list that I found online, to keep the crossovers intact and the pacing on point, I guess. It's just taken me longer to watch them because I've had to watch them a lot, kind of back and forth. So it's turned into almost like 44 episode seasons together. So it's taking me a while, but I'm enjoying it. I mean, I got my little custom Buffy the Vampire Slayer I Survived Sunnydale High School 99 shirt, which I just love. Kind of a season 3 finale type of thing. But yeah, of course, I got the season 5 box set right here. I always love getting these thick, sort of older original box sets instead of those slim ones they released. Or those just kind of bug me because you just open them and it's like, you just open them and it's like any other case. But this, you get the whole, fold out thing. I won't do that right now. I'll just humiliate myself on camera, but. I just can't express enough how much I absolutely love Buffy the Vampire Slayer at this point. It's if you guys know me at all, I watch a ton of TV. I have a lot of shows I've obsessed over the years. And even though I'm so late to the party, Buffy has already become, honestly, probably within my top 3 favorite shows of all time. And I'm not even done with it yet. This show just means so much to me. Sarah Michelle Gellar's portrayal of Buffy, easily one of the greatest TV characters ever. So strong and inspiring, realistic, and vulnerable. And the show, I could rant about Buffy for hours, but the show just has everything. From really great character arcs to touches of humor. It really flow well with the characters and the excellent cast chemistry. To really emotional, meaningful scenes as well that really, make and keep you caring. The show just has absolutely everything I could ask for in a show from any point in time. And season 5, I had heard mixed things about everything about Buffy, like after season 3, really. But you get that with any show. You have shows like Dexter, people saying it went down the tubes after season 4. And just a bunch of shows you can name that people complain about the later seasons of. I've honestly loved every season to their own extent of Buffy. Now my favorite season is still probably season 3, maybe. It's between that and 2. I have to go with season 3, though. I really like season 4, actually, quite a bit. And season 1, was still trying to find its footing. It was a bit more spotty in certain aspects, but it was still great. Classic. I think I'll appreciate it even more when I go back and watch it eventually. But like season 5, 6, and 7, I've noticed have been probably like the least favorite among fans. I mean, I see some love for it. I mean, I just talked to a friend I met at a convention whose favorite seasons are actually 5, 6, and 7. So it's all personal opinion. But I gotta say, I really liked season 5, actually. I hold a love for it like all the others. It might not be my favorite. I'm kind of debating between this and 1 being my least favorite. But the season's actually kind of resonating with me really well now as I think about all the episodes and the arc and everything. Of course, the big thing about this season was that, apparently Buffy has a sister, Dawn, right? There's some mixed perceptions of her from the fandom I've noticed. And I gotta say, at first I was too, I found her annoying as well. But that's kind of how she was supposed to be, Buffy being stuck with like this kid sister teenage thing. They're obviously writing her to be bratty, or sort of like, kids that are teenagers are perceived to be in certain environments and such. So I think they kind of did that on purpose. And as the season went along, though, I actually really, felt for Buffy's, growing bond for her, even when she found out Dawn is this key that was sort of, fabricated or created, into this Dawn physical form, right? But Buffy ended up caring for her anyway. Then what ends up happening with her mother, which we'll talk more about in a few minutes. I bought into it. Even if it wasn't my favorite, story point of the series, I ended up going with it. And the actress who played her, let me just look her up real quick, just so I can credit her properly. Okay, yeah, Michelle Trachtenberg, excuse me if I mispronounced her name, but I think she actually did a pretty nice job. I mean, she's probably one of the better young child actors I've seen in shows like this, actually. She did an increasingly fine job with it. And the key storyline, I think, actually developed pretty nicely. And while we're talking about sort of like new aspects of the show or new characters on the show, I should also bring up Glory while we have a moment, sort of our big bad main antagonist of the season. And I liked her. I don't think I don't know if I want to say she's my least favorite antagonist of the show. I mean, I'm not sure who would be. I guess it's probably between her and Adam. I didn't mind the Adam story either. I thought she was played, very well. The actress definitely gave a, sort of charismatic, energetic performance, which I enjoyed. She was basically a cockier, somehow even cockier version of Faith, if that is possible. But Faith, of course, is not just a villain, but, I'm just saying, she was for a time anyway. I liked her again. There really wasn't much to her. She was this, goddess, doing this ritual to open up, this portal that would, cross, realities and dimensions and such, and basically rain, hell down upon Earth, essentially, which it would turn into. So the plot with her is pretty straightforward, and there wasn't really much depth to her individually like there was with, like, a character like Faith. I don't think she had, like, the presence of the mayor or something. And they're just different villains, I guess, so I guess it just depends. And there were some good episodes and good aspects involving her. I thought the fight scenes were pretty good. Again, not as good as the fight scenes with Faith, but we don't need to always compare it to Faith. So I'm going to stop doing that if I can help it. So it wasn't, bad with her. I'm just not, like, as excited by her as I was with some people. Then you had the whole thing with her, sort of using Ben as not a vessel, I forget the term for it, but having to use him to sort of, keep herself on this platform with the rest of us, basically. That was fun as well. I was glad they didn't really force Ben too much as a love interest. They never really went too far with that because Buffy already had the Riley thing going on, which we'll talk about in a minute. Along with Angel popping in once in a while, and you had sort of the growing dynamic with Spike, which we'll talk about in just a second here, actually. So Glory, not my favorite villain, but I actually enjoy the season. Her whole plot I thought made for a fun, sort of storyline anyway. And then Buffy and her dynamic with Spike this season. Well, I'm debating if I should talk about Spike or Christina Sutherland first. Give me just a second here. Let me see. Apologize for this, guys. Okay, anyway. But yeah, Buffy's dynamic with Spike this season I actually really, really liked quite a bit. Now I'm someone that, when it comes down to it, I love the Buffy and Angel bond. I loved when Angel pops in this season, around the time when the Joyce thing happens. That meant a lot to me, which we'll talk more about that in a second. Or a few minutes anyway. So I think I'm always going to prefer Buffy and Angel when it comes down to it. I mean, I have a poster hanging on my wall, like just over there. I mean, I can pan it up real quick. Very, very cool, by the way. It's actually a custom format. I mean, it uses a Buffy and Angel image you've seen before, but the guy actually, changed like the coloring a little bit, so I think it looks pretty cool. I always wanted something like that for Buffy in my collection. Now I have it. All right, bear with me while I try to readjust here a little bit. Alright, that'll have to do. Sorry if the camera is crooked or something. I'm trying to make it a little bit better. This sort of keeps drifting downward. Alright, that'll do there. Anyway, so even though I prefer Buffy and Angel, I think I've enjoyed Spike's development as well, despite the chip in his head. How he kind of starts to care more about the group and Buffy himself. Although the thing with him creating a Buffy robot was a bit creepy. I could see that episode that story point not really flying too well if they made the show now, because it was a bit creepy because he basically built her as like a sex robot to give into his at least the lustful side of his feelings for. But you can also tell that Spike really does deeply care for Buffy in an emotional way. And that scene where Spike thinks he's still talking to the robot for a second, and he says how he couldn't stand to see Buffy in that much pain if she lost Dawn, and then the whole thing with her mother and everything. Some actually pretty fine chemistry with James Marsters there and Sarah Michelle Gellar, and some good exchanges between the two. When Buffy says, "No, that was real," or something on those lines. It did get to me. It was definitely the better. They never fully embraced quite the season, although Buffy does kiss him there as a way of saying thanks and giving him something after all that. Anyway, why isn't Harmony dead yet? She keeps popping in, and I'm pretty sure there's an episode with her in the last season of Angel or something too. I don't know. It's just something I've unfortunately sort of seen. But how is Harmony still alive? I don't know. And now moving on, that was definitely the better sort of slowly building love interest aspect of this season, even though it never went in full gear quite yet. I'm looking forward to seeing more of it. Since we're speaking of that, though, we gotta talk about Riley. Yeah, Finn Riley. Riley Finn. I liked him in season 4. I was actually fine with him sort of being a regular character on the show. But the direction they took him in this season I didn't really care for, or maybe it was more so with how they handled his exit, I guess. We find out that, he feels like Buffy's being distant with him, that she's not giving him all of her attention, all of her love, because she's still stuck on Angel or something like that. Which she is, and he can't just take that away. So I respected how the show did that part of it. But then you find out that he's basically let himself get fed on by vampires. And he ends up getting this assignment with the organization and everything like that. And we basically have Xander and a couple other characters sort of side with Riley for some really odd reason. And we have this scene of Buffy trying to catch Riley before he flies off in the helicopter, but he can't hear her, so he flies off, and he'll probably return at some point, I'm guessing. But I didn't really care for them making it out to be that Buffy's in the wrong here, that Buffy has to be the one to apologize or get him back. I didn't really understand that. I love the show so much. I love the characters, and I love Xander, I love Willow, and everything like that. But moments like this, and then when she came back at the beginning of season 3 after she had to kill Angel, and just how the characters sort of turned on her and see her as selfish, or she needed to do this and that, and they're not really focusing on how she's feeling from her psyche or perspective. It just really almost kind of boggles my mind sometimes how Joss Whedon would think that's a good way to write their friendship. Giles is the one who they kind of keep neutral through arguments like that, but even then you can tell he's sort of weary of Buffy's direction and such, and I just don't really care for bits like that. If anything, it felt like Riley should have been the one trying to chase Buffy and catch her somewhere, Buffy is definitely not in the wrong. She's not just going to let go of the Angel thing. You can't when it's real. It's never gone. And everything Buffy's been through, I think Riley should have had as much patience with her as she needed. And whether she was willing to take him in or not was kind of up to her. And she was trying, she was still going with it, but wasn't enough for Riley, and Xander didn't like that. And I love Xander, but again, they had him weirdly side with Riley completely, and it was just weird, and way late into Buffy, I don't know. Although I did think the Xander and Anya thing was cute this season, when Xander kind of proposes to her near the end of the season, it was really sweet. And then while we're talking about couples sort of like that, I should also mention Willow and Tara. Really great acting from Allison Hannigan when Tara is attacked by Glory, and sort of the wrath that Willow brings on to Glory, and actually sort of hurts her at least a little bit. I thought it was one of Willow's coolest moments of the whole series. I think Dark Willow is coming up, so I'm eager and dreading to see what comes of that. So relationship-wise, it was all really good this season, except the Riley thing. And now we should talk about Joyce. Another big plot point of this season is that she has this sort of tumor basically, and it was a very mature storyline. It really reminded me. She ends up passing away. Excuse me. She ends up passing away, and the scene where that happens, the final scene of the episode leading into the body episode and everything like that. Buffy walks in, just calling for her mom, just casually trying to go about something, and then you just see Joyce lying there on the couch, just stiff, pale, motionless, her eyes still open. How they did that episode was, it was a really hard episode to watch. But I was impressed and kind of taken back for the way they did it. There are no big musical cues or anything like that, which most shows would tend to do, and that works in its own way as well. When you have some great music with some emotive scenes, it can really add to it. But I also really like their approach here is very real. Again, it was just it's hard to watch, it's hard to talk about. But I know what they wanted to do with that episode was, to make it as realistic a situation as possible. What would someone do when they find someone they love so much, a parent or what have you, like that, and you see Buffy fumbling to decide what to do, her sort of just being stunned and silent, and then realizing she has to call and everything like that, how awkward she is with, the paramedics, or the, whatever you call them when they arrive. And then Giles shows up, how she tries to talk to him, and then Dawn later at the school. Really no music in the episode. Feels like a very real situation you're in with these characters who we love so much and feel so attached to, and I think it really, really worked. I was really taken back by that. And then I loved Angel showing up when Buffy was at Joyce's grave. And they do share a kiss and everything like that, and no matter who they're with, I think their bond and love for each other is eternal, you could say, or unmatched. There's never going to be one quite like the other for them in either of their lives. And I like how Angel is there for Buffy when he needs to be still, even though he's in LA and everything like that. This really works well, and I'm glad they still have so much respect for the bond and love those two share. And then also, I meant to bring up that picture as well when we were talking about Joyce. But as far as Joyce's death in general, if you guys seen my reviews of the other seasons, I really wasn't that big of a fan of hers. I think Christina Sutherland did a fine job acting-wise in the role. But I just thought the mother character could be sometimes kind of frustrating. How sort of tunnel vision she was about what Buffy actually had to do, what her, sort of, job is, or, purpose as a Slayer. Just like in season 3 especially, just how she just kept trying to see and keep Buffy as this kid and everything, which I understand from the parents' perspective, but it got a little overplayed at some point. Then eventually how much she brushed it off, it really wasn't that big of a deal, or Buffy could just do that instead, or do that instead with the Slayer thing. It just annoyed me. And she had somehow said a better idea for Buffy than she did herself, and I don't know. I found the character annoying. She wasn't in as much of season 4, which was kind of nice. But I still did feel for her death here, because I love Buffy so much, and the acting was fantastic with it. And as far as favorite episodes of the season, I did love all of them. So even the more offshoot ones and everything. for instance, like the Buffy versus Dracula premiere, which is just like a complete, big fan fiction episode. If Buffy met Dracula, it turns out there is this Dracula. Spike's annoyed by him, sort of, frustrated with his reputation that he's built for himself and everything. I'm hoping you see the Dracula character kind of pop up again. They gave him sort of an ambiguous ending. Buffy aware of how, he always comes back and stuff like that. It's kind of funny how they play it off at the end. The fight's pretty good. How Giles gets sort of tangled in with the, the brides of Dracula and stuff like that. It's pretty funny. I also loved, crap. I'm suddenly forgetting episodes right now, even though I had them down right before the video. Oh yeah, Spiral was the episode name. I did not look at it. It was loading, but I remembered it's called Spiral. I like the sort of, not road trip episode, but they're sort of going Mad Max Buffy with that episode, on the run from Glory and these nights and stuff like that. It was a really fun episode. A lot of action, and I just like sort of the change of setting of it and everything like that in the desert at the gas station kind of thing. It was really cool. And then the finale. A lot of people I've seen have actually said this could have been like the series finale, and I can see it because the stakes were that high. Again, by the end of it, even though I like the Dawn and Glory storyline wasn't necessarily my favorite of the show, I felt the stakes for it by the end. It felt like there was, like an imminent doom or something like that. It felt like there was, press for time. It had that sort of sense of urgency and everything like that. So I think the storyline ended up really working. And it turns out the only way to close this portal for a while, they're thinking is going to be to kill Dawn. Of course, Buffy's not going to let that happen, even though it is true that Dawn isn't truly her sister. To some extent, even Giles was trying to say that, and him and Buffy end up sort of at odds over it. And as Giles says, he has to sort of have that stance on things as a watcher, even if it's sort of more cold perspectives that he has to sort of embrace at certain times. Because he did care about Dawn too. But it's true that Dawn isn't really Buffy's sister, but there's a part of her that is with Buffy now, and Buffy being the big heart that she is, she ends up basically switching places with Dawn by the end of the episode, and jumping in, sacrificing herself to stop this portal and preserving their reality. Very emotional. It really, really, really got me. I absolutely loved where the direction ended up this season. And when you see everyone surrounding Buffy's body, just Giles' look when he walks up to her laying there, you can see that brokenness. Even as far back as season 1, he's seen just how much Giles feared failing Buffy, and Buffy ended up dead somehow. You see that kind of come to fruition in his face. You can see the emotion in Anthony Stewart Head's eyes, just fantastic acting. And then Spike, he just breaks down, he kind of drops to his knees, and you can see just the anguish in his face, seeing Buffy dead like that. It really, really nailed it, man. I cried, I admit I cried. So it was really, really good with that. If it ended there, it would have been kind of fast because it shows her grave, and then that's kind of it. I did like how the original Slayer thing played into the season as well, with that sort of ominous season 4 finale we got previously. Death is her gift and everything like that. We figure that out here. But yeah, the finale really worked. I'm curious to see how they bring her back in season 6. I hope it's not too long without the Buffster. We need Buff. So yeah. But yeah, that direction really worked for now. Also, I gotta say, Buffy ends up being Glory, with the hammer. Yeah, there's this, troll type thing, that was formerly dating Anya. That was a fun episode as well, that Xander tries to fight off and everything, but they still have the hammer. Buffy ends up using that on Glory and various other means. Really good end fight, I think. Yeah, Buffy ends up beating her almost to a pulp. She bashes her face in quite a bit, which is pretty satisfying. But then she actually still shows mercy. Which is, probably the wrong choice, and Giles comes up to her after Buffy walks off and says, Buffy's, so merciful, or Buffy can't do this because, she represents, the best of us and everything like that. She's a hero, she's a good person, but I'm not. Then he ends up basically covering Ben's nose and mouth to kill him off for good. So Glory doesn't come back and, try and exact some sort of vengeance at some point. And I was happy with that because Giles is probably my favorite character besides Buffy and Angel in these shows. And I've always loved him. I think I love his sort of father dynamic with Buffy. But they haven't really gone into personal depths with him in a while. They've always talked about how he's this ripper and he had the darker past, but they haven't touched on it in a while, which I was kind of disappointed by. But now they kind of have again, showing that darker side to him. And what he knew had to be done there. So I'm curious to see how they build on that, hopefully in the 6th and 7th seasons. I'm excited to see more of that explored. So yeah, overall, at first initially a mixed season for me, but the more I think about Buffy Season 5, the more great I think it was. Comparing to Season 4 is difficult. At first, gut reaction, I want to say I still prefer Season 4. It was maybe a bit more fun. But Season 5 had some really great emotional aspects to it. And I feel like it's going to resonate really well with me. It already is now. I'm still giving the season like an AA+, whatever you want to say. I don't even know what's rated specifically percentage rate-wise right now, 90-something or other. Probably 92%, 95%, somewhere in there. Another fantastic season of a show I just fucking love so much. I can't express that enough. It's meant so much to me. It's got me through a lot of rough times lately, like a lot of my favorite shows have. Just incredible. I can't say enough about it. So yeah, let me guys thought about Buffy the Vampire Slayer Season 5 without spoilers for the last 2 seasons. How does it compare to the rest of the series for you? How do you rank them? Things like that. What did you think of the Dawn Glory storyline, the Spike thing, Riley, what have you? So yeah, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, like, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.